G'day guys, Daikaiju Down Under here. As you can see, I've just got my hands on the MonsterArts Godzilla Kong the New Empire Skar King figure here. So I figured, let's open it, we'll do some first impressions, and we might do a mini review as well, and we'll just take a look at the figure. Sounds good guys? Let's start by opening up the figure here. And I just want to say, this box here, very thin, very nice. Definitely good at the moment because I'm sort of running out of space in the collection just to have these boxes around. But so we'll take that out, we'll fold that bit of tape there, and open these here. Again, I don't really want to do any cuts here guys, so that way you get my full unbiased opinion upon opening the figure. So the figure's out, here's the tray, we'll move the box out of the way. Skar King there. This is a web shop exclusive, so there shouldn't really be any tape. So that should just come straight off. Move that over here, and then we'll have a quick look at the Skar King. And here he is, guys. Initial impressions. He is very washed out. I did watch Ultrazilla's unboxing of this guy, and so I was expecting him to be a little darker in color, but this particular unit here, Skar King, is very washed out. I was not expecting him to be this dull in color, actually. First impressions, he looks pretty good. That head doesn't look terrible either. Let's get a look at that in the camera there, so you guys can see as well. Eyes are looking perfectly straight. That's great. Test those joints, and as you saw, nothing fell off on the figure here, so that's always a plus. Let's take these little bits and bobs off of Skar King. We'll release him from his plasticky prison here. And there's that. So Skar King has been completely freed. Now, let's move him to the side and we'll just take a quick look at those accessories as well. Okay, taking a quick look at these accessories here. I don't want them to fall out of the tray, so I'll just lift it up a little bit for you. So you can see that's the full package. Let's take out this whip slash effect. There we are. That looks very nice. Very cool. As you can see, it does sort of have a slight bony wash to it. That's neat. The tip here is covered in plastic. That's very nice, just to protect the paint and stuff on that. See the jaw of the presumed war bat there. That's very nice. And it looks like this is a bendy wire. So again, guys, I didn't watch any reviews for this. I want to go in completely blind and formulate my own opinion, and then I'll go back and check some other reviews. So bendy wire, that's pretty cool. The whip slash is a little short, I believe, compared to what we got in the movie, but this is pretty much what I was expecting. Now, it looks like Skar King has a bunch of alternate hands here. We've got some fists here, so that's the same for the left and the right. This looks to be a grabby hand. And then you've got your knuckle walking hands. I don't think I'll ever use those for Skar King, but spare head here. This is probably the head that I'll use on the figure. That looks not awful, not terrible. Skar King is missing his pupils here, which is actually more accurate to the character. I believe Tamashii was working off of the concept art, which is why the other head does have pupils on it. As you can see, the teeth are not awful on this copy here. I do think the mouth juts out just a fair bit. I don't think Skar King's mouth jutted out that much, but again, I believe that's based off of the concept art. Now, the important part, the little controversial part actually for this figure, Skar King includes the Beast Glove effect for Kong. So here are the hands for that Beast Glove. You got one more open hand, one semi sort of closed hand. I presume that's probably for holding onto something like Kong's axe, whereas this is just a more dynamic sort of hand. Details on that looks really nice. Nice paint applications as well. Sort of looks like Bumblebee's hand. Do you guys see that? The Bumblebee Bayverse sort of hand there. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but there you go. And then finally, the arm for Kong with the Beast Gloves. So there we have it. Kong's Beast Glove arm. That looks pretty good. I'm a little interested to see how the bicep works, because I've seen... Okay, cool. So unfortunately, that is something that I was slightly concerned about. Upon seeing some photos on Instagram, I wasn't too happy with this gap here where the bicep meets the shoulder. Not sure how well that's coming up on camera. I was sort of hoping that by spinning that around, that joint would be more covered there, but it appears that is not the case. That is a slight disappointment, but Besides that, the actual detail on this arm looks really, really nice. Really clean paint applications as well for the arm there, for the beast glove. How does that articulate? Oh, that's interesting. Cool, so this joint here looks to be a little bit free floating, so when you bend Kong's arm, is that the same on that side? Yes, it is. Those two joints move. That's very cool. That gives it just a little bit of life. And then the wrist here has some really, really nice range. That's really cool. So we'll take a look at this in detail in another video. I do have an upcoming video, and I was waiting specifically for this figure to come in so I could finish that video. So we'll take a look at that another time. But the main focus of today's video is going to be of the Skar King himself. So what I'll do is I'll clean up the workspace, I'll fiddle around with the figure, and then I'll just do some quick overviews and some initial thoughts. Here we have the Skar King in all of his glory. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I think this figure is really, really good. As you can see, I've got the Skar King in a somewhat menacing, threatening sort of pose here. Now, originally I thought the balance might be a little off on the figure, just because he is such a lanky character with such small feet. But as you can see, he's actually pretty solid, and that's with him being in a somewhat leaning forward sort of pose if I turn him around there. So it's all about balance with this guy. As you can see, he's holding his weight pretty well. I do have that whip wrapped around him as well. I'm very glad that you can sort of achieve that pose with this figure here. I'll show you how I did that in just a second. But first I want to talk about just the articulation on this guy. Skar King fares very, very nicely. As you can see, so we'll take this little whip piece off. This is a very solid figure. I can shake him around and nothing's falling off. Nothing of the sort. There you go. Look, I wish Godzilla did that to Skar King in the movie. How good would that be? As you can see, nothing's falling off. Everything's pretty solid. And the actual range of articulation on this guy is also really nice. I mean, look at how far I can force that ab crunch. We can really get Skar King sort of lankying around in a really nice deep crunch. But you can also stretch that the other way. There you go, fix his spine a little bit. All that time in the cave definitely hasn't done him too good. Definitely needs to see a chiropractor. Knees as well. I mean, look at that, guys. The range on that, just a little more than 90 degrees, but in combination with this upper hip hinge here, you can actually get a fair bit out of the legs there. Same with the feet here. Just like the MonsterArts Kong, Skar King here does have a joint in his toes. That's very nice. You can do a huge spread. You can get him doing, look at that, he's doing the splits and he's holding himself up. His hands aren't even touching the table. That's incredible, guys. The balance on this, the articulation on this, absolutely incredible. The shoulders are nice, the elbows, look at that. You can go more than 90 degrees, just again like the knees, just a little more than 90 degrees. And with the two joints in the arm here, you've got one at the wrist and then one slightly further up at the wrist. That's great. And as you just saw, these hands pop off, but they also pop in super, super easy. I absolutely love that, guys. So articulation, out of this world. I think it's very nice. I can't wait to do some more sort of poses with it. Maybe I'll do some shots at the end here with that. Articulation wise, he's great. Detail wise, I also think Skar King fared very, very nicely. All of that sculpted fur and definition is really, really nice, guys. It looks incredible, and that's just done on top of the musculature there. You can see those details, that muscly back that the Skar King is known for. He's got his broad shoulders. I mean, detail wise, everything shapes up very, very nicely, as you have seen so far. And then last and most certainly not least, paint wise, I haven't found a single QC issue on my particular copy. So we'll get Skar King looking back over here just for a moment. I think you can sort of see that sort of red shading on the arm there. No real issues there. I think that's very nice. You've got that nice red stripe down the bottom there, across his chest. There's actually some also rather nice shading in the figure here. So in all of this sort of here, including that, he's got some nice sort of black shading. Same with the muscle fibers and definition up the top there. And of course, again, just that face which we saw before. I'll pop that off again so you guys can have a better look at that. Looking at the first roaring head here, Not very many QC issues at all. In fact, I think there is only one very, very slight paint chip on the tooth there. Besides that, everything is perfect. Look at that red mark on the top of his head there, the gums, the teeth, and then bringing in that other head. Same thing, pretty much perfect, guys. I don't actually think there is a single QC issue on this head at all. So overall, that's great. Now, just quickly, guys, I want to give you a posing guide for this figure here. This is what the Skar King looks like, completely upright, with a very nice, long spine there. He's definitely got his posture in check, but this isn't what the Skar King looks like in the movie at all, and this doesn't look great for the figure here. So what you want to do, as you can see, out of the box as well, you've got these little bits on his shoulders that are sort of puffed forward. We're actually going to use those there to help us here. So what you want to do is you want to move the arms so that those joints, those little covers there, those little cuffs of fur, are completely hidden. So now he's got his arms completely out, right? But as we know, Skar King doesn't have his arms out in the movie. They're definitely a lot more rolled and crunched forward. So you want to bring those shoulders in. You really want to sort of bring those into the figure here. And then suddenly that looks a little better there. Bend the elbows slightly. And then you want to basically break his back. As we know, the Skar King, he's a little bit on the unfortunate posture side. So you want to crunch him forward. You've got two joints in the figure there to do that. You crunch him forward, bend his knees a little bit, because he doesn't have to, he's not got straight knees. Alright, so you want to bend his knees a little bit, even sort of pivot him just a little bit at the pelvis there. Move those shoulders forward just a little more. And then suddenly he's looking like he's been living in a cave for a lot longer there. And then with that head and neck, you've got a really nice sort of joint here, rubbery joint here. You just want to sort of push that forward. So you want to jot his head down. There you go. And then as you can see, now suddenly the Skar King is in a lot more of a more accurate sort of pose and look to how he looks in the movie. And suddenly that looks a lot better here. You can see that from this angle. Definitely, he's got that rounded spine all the way up there. His arms are still drooping straight down as they should be, but you've basically fixed that issue in the shoulder there. His stability is perfectly fine. He looks almost menacing. There you go. That's your quick posing guide for the Skar King there. You basically just want to break his back, drop him down, and that also sort of lowers his height a little bit there. So now he doesn't look as tall compared to your other MonsterArts figures there. So that was just something quick I wanted to go over with you guys. Just a super quick posing guide for you. So the easiest way to have Skar King's whip wrapped around him and stay on him in the nice sort of pose you saw before is to just interlock it here. So as you guys can see, just interlocking the segments of the spines there, and then using that last sort of jaw piece right here just to catch the whip on itself. That'll get you that very nice ring shape that you can wrap around Skar King and it won't go anywhere. You've got the teeth sort of jaw handle near the bottom, and you've got the crystal up the top there. I'm not too sure if that's accurate. I'm pretty sure that's how I had it, but if Skar King has it more like this in the movie, well, there you go. Just rotate it the other way. So that's cool, and that's how that's achieved. As you can see, guys, the Skar King has no issues whatsoever holding up that whip there. I've got him in a somewhat dynamic pose, about ready to strike the defending Kong. And he's not going anywhere. He's not falling over. He's not leaning forward. He's not leaning back. It took me about 2 seconds to get the Skar King in this pose. Believe it or not, it actually took me a little longer to get Kong standing upright just because of his toe-feet articulation there. So Skar King checks out with stability as well, even with the whip attached. And I think that is absolutely awesome. Here we can see how the Skar King stacks up size-wise against a couple other SH MonsterArts Godzilla Kong the New Empire figures. Now I know this is a slight point of contention with some people because I believe the Skar King in the movie is actually supposed to be a little shorter than Kong and definitely a lot shorter than Godzilla. But as you can see here, the Skar King is a little taller than Kong, and if we get him out of the way, you can get a little bit of a better size for Godzilla here. So as you can see, even with Godzilla being all sort of hunched over, he is still technically slightly taller than the Skar King, but this size is also just a little bit off. So he's a decent sized figure. he's just not that accurate in terms of size with the other SH MonsterArts Godzilla Kong the New Empire figures. Final thoughts, guys. I absolutely love this figure here. Not only do you get an incredibly well sculpted, well detailed figure, but he moves very, very nicely. The joints, the articulation, all of them are absolutely superb. And on top of that, you get a great selection of accessories, not just for the Skar King himself, but also for the Kong figure. We will take a closer look at those accessories for Kong in an upcoming video, so make sure you subscribe for that one. The only negatives that I can find on this figure personally, one, the head sculpts, but again, those were based off of the proto concept art for the figure, for the character himself, so you can sort of excuse those. And then two, the scale. Skar King is just a tad too big for your other Monsterverse figures. However, looking past those two things, you do get a really, really great overall figure, and for that, I am absolutely happy. I think this thing's great. I think you guys would think it's great too, especially if you pick it up for your collection. And that's all I've got for you guys. I absolutely love this figure. I recommend it. I had fun with it. I've been Daikaiju Down Under, and until next time, I'll see you all in the next video.